athlete is you can correct yourself and you can do better and you can get better is when you acknowledge the mistakes, and that's what I've been doing since that first loss. And
since the loss, I've been just focusing on the journey, focusing on just taking each fight as it is. And I was enjoying it. I wasn't thinking of like, I can't wait to, like, I have to get back to that title shot. I have to get.
I'm real. I'm dangerous. Otherwise, like they just try and take everything from me, and they can't.
Hi guys, welcome to Top News Age. Hit subscribe and press the bell icon to get notifications from Top News Age. Today we're going to look at
people in, as well as to speak in, as well as to.
Let's get started.
Robert Whittaker is an Australian professional mixed martial artist who was born in New Zealand. He began competing in MMA in 2008 by making his debut against Chris Tallowin and won it via TKO punches. In 2012, he put himself forward for the first series of The Ultimate Fighting. He was selected as one of the cast members of the team of 8 Australians, which will face the 8 men from the United Kingdom. On 15th December 2012, he made his UFC debut against Brad Scott to determine the welterweight winner of The Ultimate Fighter at UFC on FX6. He won the fight on a unanimous decision and became the first winner of The Ultimate Fighter. Currently, he holds a very good winning streak of 23-5. In this video, we will discuss all the streak fights of Robert Whittaker. Robert Whittaker vs Chris Tallowin 1-0. This was the first professional fight of Robert Whittaker against the debutant Chris Tallowin on 14th March 2009 in the Australian Xtreme Fighting Championship, Return of the Hulk. Both wanted to start their careers with a win, but Robert Whittaker was looking strong throughout the first round. In the end, he won the fight on TKO punches after the first round. Robert Whittaker vs Richard Walsh 2-0. Robert Whittaker faced the debutant Richard Walsh in his second professional fight on 20th November 2009 in Cage Fighting Championship 11. Both looked strong at the start of the first round and tried to put pressure on each other, but the second round belonged to Robert Walsh, who won the fight on rear naked choke submission at the 3rd minute. Robert Whittaker vs Nick Ariel 3-0. Robert Whittaker and Nick Ariel were going to face each other after winning both of their first fights. The fight was held on 12th March 2010 in CFC 12, Lombard vs Santor. Fortunately, Robert Whittaker was able to continue his winning run. He defeated Nick Ariel on KO punches in the second round and moved his streak to 3-0. Robert Whittaker vs Cobain 4-0. Robert Whittaker faced Cobain in his 4th professional fight on 5th June 2010 in CFC 14. Cobain appeared in this fight with 2 wins and 2 losses before, while Robert Whittaker was looking for the 4th consecutive win. First round went smoothly where both tried to put pressure on each other, but Robert Whittaker was very aggressive from the start of the second round and won it on armbar submission. Robert Whittaker vs Nate Thompson 5-0. This fight was held on 8th October 2010 in CFC 15. Robert Whittaker was very confident of winning this one as well after winning his first 4 professional fights. Fortunately, he snatched the victory in the 3rd minute of the first round on rear naked choke and moved his unbeaten streak to 5-0. Robert Whittaker vs Ben Alloway 6-0. Robert Whittaker faced Ben Alloway in another CFC event on 3rd June 2011. Ben Alloway had won 2 of his professional fights so far with only 1 defeat. He was very confident of defeating the rising star Robert Whittaker, but Robert proved a little heavier for him, who was in full inflow after winning 5 consecutive fights. He defeated Ben Alloway on a rear naked choke at 5th minute of the second round. Robert Whittaker vs Corey Nelson 7-0. Robert Whittaker and Corey Nelson were facing each other after winning the 6 professional fights of their streaks and were looking to add the 7th one. Fortunately, Robert Whittaker again maintained his winning streak without any loss. He defeated Corey Nelson on armbar submission at the 5th minute of the second round and moved his streak to 7-0. Robert Whittaker vs Hoon 7-1. Robert Whittaker faced Hoon on 30th October 2011 in Legend Fighting Championship 6. Unfortunately, Robert Whittaker couldn't produce the desired results and lost the first fight of his streak. Hoon defeated him on triangle choke in the 4th minute of the first round. Robert Whittaker vs Ian Bourne 8-1. After the first loss of his streak, Robert Whittaker faced Ian Bourne in his very next fight on 9th December 2011 in CFC 19. He really wanted to put himself back on the winning track, but it could be a little difficult as Bourne was an experienced opponent with 9 wins so far. but Robert Whittaker showed his full strength and won the fight on TKO punches in 4th minute of the second round. Robert Whittaker versus Shaun Spooner, 9-1. Shaun Spooner was another experienced wrestler with 9 wins and only 1 loss so far. Robert Whittaker faced him on 23rd March 2012 in Superfight Australia 13. Although Shaun Spooner was also coming into the fight with a lot of experience, Robert was too much for him. Robert put some great TKO punches on Shaun Spooner in the very first round. In the end, the referee stopped him for the further strike and announced him the winner. Robert Whittaker versus Juarez, 9-2. Robert Whittaker and Juarez faced each other on 18th May 2012 in CFC 21. Unfortunately, this was another fight of Robert Whittaker Streak which came in losing cause. The experienced Juarez defeated him on a unanimous decision. Although Robert Whittaker gave him a little tough time throughout the 3 rounds of 15 minutes, he could not get the desired results. Robert Whittaker versus Bradley Scott, 10-2. Robert Whittaker faced Bradley Scott in his debut fight in UFC on 14th December 2012 on UFC on FXTUF Finale, Australia. Both of them gave a fight to fans about what they wanted to see. Robert Whittaker found his range first in a very first opening round, but Scott came strongly in the second one. In the last couple of minutes, Robert controlled himself and picked up the win. Robert Whittaker versus Colton Smith, 11-2. This fight was held on 25th May 2013 in UFC 160, Velasquez versus Silva. As the first round started, Robert Whittaker threw a quick uppercut which narrowly missed. The second round also belonged to Robert Whittaker, but Colton Smith recovered quickly and appeared in the third round. Robert Whittaker left hook drops the Smith, where he defeated him on TKO punches. Robert Whittaker versus Court McGee, 11-3. Robert Whittaker faced Court McGee on 28th August 2013 in UFC Fight Night 27, Campman vs. Condit, which was his first loss in a UFC streak. He fought well throughout the 15 minutes of the 3 rounds, but Court McGee proved a little heavier on him, who defeated him on a split decision. Robert Whittaker vs. Stephen Thompson, 11-4. Robert Whittaker faced Stephen Thompson in his next fight on UFC 170, Rousey vs. McMahon. Stephen Thompson looked favourite over Robert Whittaker before the fight as he was a proven striker with a 20-0 kickboxing record. He took advantage of his hype and won the fight on TKO punches in the first round. Unfortunately, Robert Whittaker lost his second consecutive fight. Robert Whittaker vs. Mike Rhodes, 12-4. Robert Whittaker was very disappointed after losing the 2 consecutive fights of his streak, but he gathered all of his confidence and appeared against Mike Rhodes on 28th June 2014 in UFC Fight Night 43, Tehuna vs. Mark Ward. It proved another toughest fight of his streak, but in the end, he won it on a unanimous decision after the 3rd round. Robert Whittaker vs. Clint Hester, 13-4. Robert Whittaker faced Clint Hester on 8th November 2014 in UFC Fight Night 55, Bisping vs. Rockhold. This victory for Robert Whittaker came with relative ease. He won the fight on TKO punches in the 3rd minute of the 2nd round. After the fight, Robert Whittaker admitted that he didn't plan to end the fight early, but he found Hester completely helpless and ended the fight quickly. Robert Whittaker vs. Brad Tavares, 14-4. This fight was held on 9th May 2015 in UFC Fight Night 65, Hunt vs. Miocic. Both of them won 13 fights of their streak so far and were looking for adding another one. As the fight started, it proved one of the shortest fights of the Robert Whittaker streaks. He took only a few seconds of the first round to defeat Brad on KO punches and moved his streak to 14-4. Robert Whittaker vs. Uriah Hall, 15-4. Robert Whittaker faced Uriah Hall on 14th November 2015 in UFC 193, Rousey vs. Hoon. Both of them were similar fighters with similar backstories. They put a suspenseful show for the fans when they came together in the cage in Australia. Each exchanged heated words with quick gliding kicks from Whittaker. The fight was incredibly close, but Robert Whittaker snatched the victory in the end. He won the fight on a unanimous decision after the 3rd round. Robert Whittaker vs. Rafael Sapo, 16-4. This fight was held on 23rd April 2016 in UFC 197, Jones vs. Cormier 2. The bout started slowly as Robert Whittaker and Rafael Sapo tried to figure out each other. As usual, Whittaker took the forward step and did well to circle away from danger. He won the 2nd round with aggression and landed some heavy shots on Rafael Sapo. His accuracy was fantastic, which led him into a great win over Rafael Sapo on a unanimous decision. Robert Whittaker vs. Derek Brunson, 17-4. Robert Whittaker faced Derek Brunson on 26 November 2016 in UFC Fight Night, Whittaker vs. Brunson. Both had won 16 fights of their streak so far, but Brunson was looking ahead of Whittaker with only 3 losses so far. As the fight started, Brunson exploded out of the gate, seeking to pressure Whittaker, but he defended well and landed a big uppercut. The fight continued until the 5th minute of the first round, where Whittaker won it on TKO punches and moved his streak to 17-4. Robert Whittaker vs. Jacare Souza, 18-4. Robert Whittaker faced Jacare Souza on 15th April 2017 in UFC Fight Night, Johnson vs. Reese. The bout was a great opportunity for both of them to claim the positioning in the ongoing evolution of the middleweight title picture. Whittaker took advantage of the big stage and took the biggest win of his career. He defeated Jacare via TKO punches in the second round. Robert Whittaker vs. Yoel Romero, 19-4. Robert Whittaker faced Yoel Romero on 8th July 2017 in UFC 213, Nunes vs. Shevchenko. The first 2 rounds completely belonged to Yoel Romero, as Romero kicked him on the same leg, which he hurt in training. However, Whittaker came back strongly in the 3rd round and put great effort in the remaining 3 rounds. In the end, he won the fight on a unanimous decision. Robert Whittaker vs. Yoel Romero, 24. This was the 2nd consecutive fight of Robert Whittaker with Yoel Romero on 9th June 2018 in UFC 225, Whittaker vs. Romero. It looked like Romero won the fight this time as he scored knockdowns in the 4th and 5th rounds. But it was not the case on judges' scoreboards. They announced Whittaker as a winner after the 5th round on a split decision. Robert Whittaker vs. Israel Adesanya, 25. Robert Whittaker faced the unbeaten Israel Adesanya on 5th October 2019 in UFC 243. He was very confident to end Israel's unbeaten winning streak of 17-0, but it was not the case. Israel defended his belt again and defeated Whittaker on TKO punches on 4th minute of the 2nd round. Robert Whittaker vs. Darren Till, 21-5. This fight was held on 25th July 2020 in UFC FN 44 on ESPN, Whittaker vs. Romero 2. Robert Whittaker really wanted to win this one after losing the last fight. Fortunately, he was able to win it on a unanimous decision and moved his streak to 21-5. Robert Whittaker vs. Jared Cannonier, 22-5. Robert Whittaker faced Jared Cannonier on 24th October 2020 in UFC 254, Khabib vs. Gaethje. Both were looking good and attempted to implement their game plan. The rules of engagement stayed the same throughout the 2nd round. Whittaker was looking ahead of Cannonier before going into the final round. In the end, he won the fight on a unanimous decision. Robert Whittaker vs. Kelvin Gastelum, 23-5. This fight was held on 17th April 2021 in UFC FN 69 on ESPN, Whittaker vs. Gastelum. Gastelum was very aggressive from the start of the fight and took control of the center of the octagon. But Whittaker quickly countered it and sent the message with a strong head kick. Fortunately, Whittaker was able to win it on a unanimous decision and move his streak to 23-5. 36. Robert Whittaker faced Israel Adesanya in his most recent fight on 12th February 2022 in UFC 271. Adesanya managed to retain his title and won the fight on a unanimous decision after the 5th round. Adesanya's speed and movement helped him to shots from Whittaker.
Hope you enjoyed our video. Please like, comment, and share it. See you all in the next one. Thank you. Bye.